It's 1943. 8 months have passed since the Battle of Stalingrad, and the German army is now in full retreat. While the rest of the troops fall back, Lieutenant Philip and his tank crew remain behind with a dangerous assignment: prevent Soviet forces from crossing a vital bridge. The bridge is rigged with explosives and will be destroyed within minutes, but Philip is determined to hold the enemy back for as long as possible. With only 5 minutes left before detonation, he finally orders his crew to withdraw. The massive bridge stretches 600 meters across, and as they race towards safety, enemy fire rains down on them. The situation grows even worse when enemy aircraft swoop in from above. Bombs and gunfire strike the vehicle, setting it ablaze. Flames begin spreading through the interior. They keep driving despite the smoke and heat. During the desperate escape, Philip suddenly notices a deer standing on the bridge ahead. Somehow, against all odds, they make it across alive. Later, Philip receives a new assignment known as Mission Labyrinth. He travels through the war-torn countryside to reunite with his unit. Once together, the crew repairs their damaged tank and gets it operational again. Their orders are to head east, cross the Sel River, and enter the dangerous territory of no man's land. Their objective is to locate Colonel von Hardenberg and bring him back alive. Everyone believed the colonel had died long ago, but intelligence reports suggest he survived. Von Hardenberg is thought to be hiding somewhere inside a bunker network east of Noviar. During the Battle of Stalingrad, von Hardenberg chose to remain with the 6th Army after others withdrew. Although he survived, he paid a terrible price. At one point, he became trapped beneath collapsed rubble and was forced to sever his own hand in order to escape. Because of the strange circumstances surrounding his survival, some soldiers suspect he may now be working for the Russians. After hiding for months, he eventually resurfaced, only to be sent back into service. Philip explains that the colonel had been developing a secret evacuation strategy and possesses critical military information. If those documents fall into enemy hands, the consequences could be disastrous. That's why recovering him is so important. As darkness settles over the land, they steer the tank into a forest and make camp for the night. And the crew spends some time joking around before settling in for the night. The following morning, the crew resumes its journey. Before long, they arrive at a line of anti-tank barriers. Curious, Michelle asks who constructed them. Philip explains that captured enemy soldiers were forced to build the defenses. Those too weak to work were executed and left behind. The crew guides the tank through an opening in the obstacle line and presses forward. Eventually, they reach a wide open field. Philip suddenly notices a warning marker and immediately orders the tank to stop. Philip, Michael, and Keelig climb out to inspect the ground around the vehicle. While searching near the tracks, Philip discovers a mine positioned directly in front of them. At the same time, Christian spots a tank far off in the distance. After examining the mine, Philip realizes there are no visible wires attached to it. Their only option is to lift it carefully. As soon as they do, Michel notices a grenade hidden underneath. Reacting instantly, he slams his hand back down to keep the mechanism from triggering. Now Michel is trapped in place, unable to move without risking an explosion. Philip orders him to stay calm and promises they will find a way to save him. Meanwhile, the distant tank disappears from sight. Philip makes a difficult decision and tells the others that protecting the tank must come first. He orders the crew to reverse the vehicle away from the danger zone. Then he grabs a rope, returns to Michael and ties it securely around the mine. Philip instructs him to slowly remove his hand while everyone watches nervously. Inch by inch, Michel pulls away. The crew quickly takes cover behind the tank. Philip hands Michel the rope and explains the final step. With a sharp pull, Michel yanks it. The mine detonates instantly, triggering a chain reaction throughout the entire field. Once the blasts subside, the crew climbs back into the tank and continues their mission. As they move forward, Philip finds himself thinking about his family, but painful memories continue to weigh heavily on his mind. Without warning, a heavy enemy tank suddenly opens fire on them. Philip orders smoke grenades deployed, allowing them to slip away temporarily, but the situation only gets worse when 3 more enemy tanks appear from the flank. The crew is now completely boxed in. Their only choices are to retreat or stand and fight. Beyond the enemy line lies the river, leaving them with nowhere else to run. With enemy tanks closing in, Philip suddenly comes up with a plan. He orders Helmuto head straight for the river. The crew races toward the water and reaches the riverbank just in time. Philip tells everyone to get out and prepare the Tiger tank for an underwater crossing. The vehicle has already suffered several hits, and there's a real chance it could sink before reaching the other side. Even so, Philip insists they have no alternative. The crew quickly seals the tank and makes the necessary preparations. Moments later, they begin the crossing. The heavy vehicle rolls into the river and gradually disappears beneath the surface. Once fully submerged, Philip orders Helmut to stop the tank. The engine noise is too loud, and the exhaust could reveal their position to the enemy above. Helmut hesitates. If the engine fails to restart later, they'll be trapped underwater with no way out. Despite the risk, Philip repeats the order. Reluctantly, Helmut shuts the engine down. The tank sits silently beneath the river. For a while, everything seems fine. The hull remains sealed and no water gets inside. Even after the danger seems gone, Philip decides to remain underwater a little longer just to be safe. Then trouble strikes. Water suddenly begins leaking into the tank. Realizing they can no longer stay submerged, Philip orders an immediate ascent. Helmut attempts to restart the engine, but nothing happens. He tries again. Still nothing. Panic begins spreading through the crew. Finally, after several tense attempts, the engine roars back to life. The tank crawls forward and eventually breaks the surface on the far side of the river. The crew climbs out and takes deep breaths of fresh air, relieved to have survived. As night falls, the tank rumbles through the darkness. During the journey, Philip reflects on the past. Colonel von Hardenberg was once a close friend, but something happened between them years ago. Sometime later, Philip spots movement ahead and immediately orders the tank to stop. He tells the crew to shut down the engine and wait. After observing the figures in the distance, he realizes they are German soldiers. Satisfied, Philip orders the engine restarted and leads the tank toward them. When they arrive, soldiers are dragging civilians through the streets while fires burn throughout the settlement. The group soon meets Krebs, the commander of a senior assault unit. Philip requests fuel and additional supplies, but Krebs is more interested in why they're there. Philip replies that they are carrying out a classified mission. Looking around, he notices soldiers forcing women, children, and other villagers into a building. Confused, Philip points out that he was told no other military units would be operating in the area. Krebs calmly explains that this is their own secret operation. According to him, the villagers are suspected of supporting partisan fighters. The last civilians are forced inside. The doors are sealed and the building is set ablaze. The trapped villagers begin screaming as flames consume the structure. The soldiers stand and watch while the fire grows larger. Krebs remarks that the sight of the flames must bring back memories. He reminds them of the day they nearly burned to death on the bridge months earlier. Krebs informs Philip that the requested fuel and supplies have arrived. Philip takes what they need and immediately decides to leave. Once back aboard, the men begin eating, but Philip refuses both food and drink. The conversation eventually turns to their lives before the war. Christians reveals that he once worked as a winemaker. Kylig says he used to teach Latin, and Helmut shares that he was a train engineer before joining the army. As they continue talking, Kylig admits that he believes the war and many of the orders they follow are completely pointless. Philip disagrees. He argues that discipline and obedience are what separate civilization from chaos. The debate begins heating up until Helmut cuts them off. Philip steps out of the tank to clear his head, and Christian follows him outside. Standing beside him, Christian admits that he sometimes wishes he could forget the man he used to be before the war. After everything they've seen and done, he feels that person is gone forever. Philip quietly disagrees and says they'll always carry the people they once were inside them. In the end, they simply followed the orders they were given. The next day, the crew continues toward their objective. They are getting close to their destination when they spot the remains of a destroyed house ahead. Philip immediately becomes cautious. He orders everyone to stay alert and approach slowly. Kylig prepares his weapon while the crew loads a shell into the main cannon. As they carefully advance toward the building, a powerful shot suddenly erupts from inside. Philip instantly orders the tank into reverse, creating distance between them and the hidden threat. From a safer position, they fire several rounds at the structure, but the enemy cannon remains untouched. It soon becomes clear that the weapon isn't hidden in a house at all. An Su-100 tank destroyer is concealed within the ruins. The realization sends a chill through the crew. One accurate hit from the massive vehicle could destroy them instantly. They pepper it with machine gun fire while maneuvering for a better angle. Philip orders the tank forward and then quickly changes direction, hoping to attack from the side where the armor is weaker. During the exchange, their exhaust system is damaged. Smoke grenades are deployed to cover their retreat, but the enemy still manages to score a direct hit nearby. The impact shakes the entire tank. Despite the damage, Philip notices an opportunity. The enemy vehicle is heavily armored but slow to maneuver. He orders the crew to move into position and hold their fire until the perfect moment. As the Su-100 advances, the vehicle drops into a crater created by the earlier explosions. Philip doesn't hesitate. He gives the order to fire. The shell slams into the trapped tank destroyer, finally destroying it. The crew has won the battle, but the victory comes at a terrible cost. Kylig has been mortally wounded. A metal fragment from the earlier hit has torn through him, and everyone knows he doesn't have long left. His final request is simple. He wants to spend his last moments outside the tank, beneath the open sky. The crew carefully carries him out and lays him on the ground. As his strength fades, he wants Philip to write a letter to Lucia and the girls. Kylig begins reminiscing about the summer of 1939, before the war changed everything. He remembers how much he loved teaching and how different life once was. Surrounded by his friends, Kylig quietly passes away. The crew buries him nearby and builds a simple grave to honor him. After spending some time mourning their fallen comrade, Philip reminds the others that the mission must continue. However, they need to repair the damaged exhaust system first. Michel walks over to the destroyed enemy's tank and notices something strange. Horrified, he calls the others over. They cannot believe what they are seeing. The enemy crew has somehow been reduced to skeletons. The sight makes no sense. Bodies do not decompose or burn that quickly. Disturbed by what he's seeing, Christian finally reaches his limit. He tells Philip they've gone far enough. In his opinion, they should abandon the mission, return to headquarters, and simply report that they never found von Hardenberg. He tells the others that nothing about this place is normal. Philip refuses to turn back. According to the map, they are only 20 kilometers from their objective. Ignoring the argument, Philip orders the crew to finish repairing the vehicle. While the others work, Philip studies the strange remains inside the destroyed tank. The sight triggers painful memories from his past. Eventually, the crew gets the tank running again and resumes the mission. After traveling for a while, Christian asks Philip how much longer they plan to keep driving. Philip says they'll continue until they find von Hardenberg and bring him back. Christian scoffs at the idea. He points out that there is no real home left to return to. The German army has been retreating for months. Then he asks the question everyone has been thinking. Why is von Hardenberg so important? Maybe he possesses critical information. Maybe he already handed that information over and became a spy, just as Keelig suspected. Or maybe this entire mission is personal. As far as he's concerned, they're simply driving toward their deaths. He formally calls for Philip to be removed from command. Philip surprisingly accepts the challenge and asks the rest of the crew to vote. Michel immediately supports Philip. Helmut does the same. He says they have faced every danger together, and he refuses to abandon his commander now. The vote ends there, and they continue with the mission. Later, while studying the map, Philip notices something strange. His compass no longer works. Even his wristwatch has been frozen at 12 o'clock ever since the bridge explosion months earlier. As they continue, rain begins pouring from the sky. The weather and the strange events around them stir more troubling memories in Philip's mind, especially of the villagers who were burned alive. The crew reaches a remote area, and Philip suddenly orders the tank to halt. He tells everyone to grab their weapons and dismount. Nearby, he has spotted footprints in the mud. The men examine the tracks and determine that they were made by German soldiers. Following the trail, they move cautiously through the wilderness. Not far ahead, they discover a tripwire grenade trap. The device is German-made as well. After carefully passing the trap, they continue deeper into the area until they make another grim discovery. Scattered nearby are the decomposed bodies of German paratroopers. Philip believes they were likely sent on the same mission long before his crew arrived. Whatever happened to them, they never made it back. Following the trail further, the group finally locates the bunker complex they have been searching for. They enter cautiously. To their surprise, the bunker is occupied by soldiers who appear relaxed and carefree. Philip announces that he's here to retrieve Colonel von Hardenberg. One soldier seems unsurprised and tells him to come alone. As Philip follows him deeper underground, old memories begin resurfacing. He recalls the retreat from the Dnieper and a telegram he received long ago, though its contents remain just out of reach. The soldier eventually stops at a corridor and tells Philip to continue by himself. At the end of the passage, Philip finally finds the man he's been searching for. Von calmly says he knew Philip would come. Philip immediately tells him the mission is over, and they need to leave. Instead of answering, Von laughs. He finds it absurd that the army sent a battered tank crew all this way to rescue him. Then he asks Philip what would he do if he refuses to come. Philip replies that he has his orders. If necessary, he'll force Von to return. Von invites him to sit and eat. During the meal, Von asks about Stalingrad. The question reopens the wound that has haunted Philip the entire journey. During the battle, Soviet soldiers had taken shelter inside a building along with women and children. The Germans were ordered to destroy the position. Von hesitated, but Philip didn't. Philip reminded him that soldiers follow orders. The tank fired, the shelter burned, killing everyone inside. Back in the bunker, Philip insists they had no choice. They were only following commands. Then something strange happens. The food on the table begins rotting. Von watches and tells Philip that everything happening around them is because of him. Philip ignores the accusation and insists he's only here to complete his mission. Von points to all the signs Philip ignored. The broken compass, the stopped watch, and the countless strange events along the way. None of it was real. The entire mission exists only inside Philip's mind. Von tells him to think back to the bridge. Why did he delay the retreat order? That wasn't like him. Suddenly, Philip remembers the telegram and his memory returns in full. His wife and child had died, burned, alive inside a shelter. The same fate Philip once inflicted on innocent women and children. Von quietly tells him that every action has consequences. Confused and terrified, Philip asks where they are. Von leads him toward the fire and finally reveals the truth. Philip's journey is ending. His own ended long ago. Von Hardenberg has been dead for years. At that moment, Philip suddenly finds himself back on the bridge. The truth is, he never escaped, neither did his crew. The tank was destroyed during the bridge operation at the beginning of the story, killing Philip and all of his men. The entire mission, the search for von Hardenberg and everything that followed, was nothing more than Philip's final attempt to confront his guilt, his grief, and the consequences of the choices he made during the war.